So in yesterday's assignment, we took these word problem scenarios and we turned it into equations. So our first scenario we had was Eddie selling candy bars to fundraise for the wrestling team. He sold a total of 13 candy bars in one day. Some were Snickers and some were Kit Kats. The number of Snickers bars he sold was one more than twice the number of Kit Kat bars. How many Snickers bars did Eddie sell and how many Kit Kat bars? So the new information that we're asked to find today is actually the number of Kit Kats and the numbers of Snickers bars. Yesterday we did not find totals, we just wrote equations. Now when we started our equation, we first defined our variables. We said that Snickers would be X and Kit Kats would be Y in our equations. We don't know how many we have of each one, so we just give them letter values and not number values. We did make a equation that talked about the 13 total that we had. And we said that X Snickers plus Y Kit Kats would equal a number or a total of 13 total candy bars. Right? We got that yesterday? And then our second equation had to do with how the Snickers relates to the Kit Kats. And we said the Snickers bars, which are X, are related to the Kit Kats by doubling the Kit Kats and adding one more. I think it was the other way, 1 plus 2 whole. Although it doesn't really matter. So do you agree that these are our two equations from yesterday? All right, so today, in order to get the actual numeric amounts, we're going to do what's called substitution. The idea is that they give you two equations like you see there on the screen. I actually wrote them over here on the side on the board. They're telling us, you want to ask yourself, do either one of these equations define a variable? What that means is, do either one of these equations directly tell you X equals something or Y equals something? Yes, our second one on the bottom right here says X equals 1 plus 2Y. It tells us exactly what X is equal to. So I can take that information, I can take that definition, it says X equals 1 plus 2Y, and I can plug in that definition anywhere I see an X in the first equation. So what I'm going to do is substitute the definition of X, which is 1 plus 2Y, and plug it into the X in the first equation up here. So what I get is, instead of writing X, I'm going to write 1 plus 2Y, and then I do plus Y equals 13. So this, in parentheses that I wrote there, is what X is on the bottom. And that's an equation. It tells us what X is equal to, so I just substituted it in. Once I did that, I now have an equation in one variable, which means just one letter is involved. So let's combine like terms. The positive 1 comes down, it doesn't combine with anything. But I have positive 2Y plus another Y. How many Y's do I have now?
3 Y's.
So I have positive 3 Y's, and those together equal 13. Let's go ahead and get Y all by itself. How would I do that? Minus was right, but what do you subtract? Minus 1. I get rid of the stuff furthest away from the letter. So 1 minus 1 goes away. I have 3Y that falls down. Equal sign falls down. What's 13 minus 1? 12. So let me continue my equation over here. So now I have 3Y equals 12. How do I get the Y by itself? Divide by 3. So now I get Y equals, what's 12 divided by 3? 4. So there's my first answer. We do know that the Y represents what? Kit Kat bar, so Y equals 4 Kit Kats. Now let's pretend we didn't know, I guess. There's some logical math you can do here. The first equation tells us that X plus Y equals 13. So we know technically that we have 13 total candy bars and we know 4 of them are Kit Kats. The remaining have to be the Snickers, correct?
Yes.
Now let's pretend that we didn't see that right away. Like, oh, okay, I don't know what to do now. You want to solve for X. Is there an equation that tells us how to get X directly? Is there an equation that tells us X equals something? The second one tells us X is equal to 1 plus 2Y. That means X is equal to 1 plus 2 times whatever our Y value is, which is 4. So X equals 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And then x measures Snickers. So the way we can write our answer is as a set of points. The x value, which is Snickers, is 9. The y value, which is Kit Kats, is 4. I'll put S and K for Snickers and Kit Kats. And this makes sense because if I plug in the 9 for x in my equation I had over here on the left, and I plug in the 4 for y, does it indeed equal 13? So that's how I know I got the right answers. Because it is possible that if you make one mistake somewhere, it'll throw off your whole answer and you won't even know it. So you have to go back and check your work. With algebra, you can always check your work. All right, now this was just the first example. I don't necessarily expect you guys to be masters of it. So let's try another one that behaves the same exact way. Our second problem that we talked about yesterday had to do with Christina remodeling her house and building a rectangular closet in her bedroom. The closet has a perimeter of 24 feet, and the length of the closet was 8 feet less than 3 times the width. And the length and the width of the closet. So here's the new part that we didn't have yesterday that we're going to find today. Yesterday we defined the length as x and the width as y. And then we wrote 2 equations. The first equation had to do with the perimeter 24. What was that equation? 2x plus 2y equals the 24 feet perimeter. That's because we had 2 lengths plus 2 widths equals 24 feet. Correct. Now, we had a second equation that had to do with the length of the closet compared to the width. What was that second equation? X equals 3y minus 8. Very good. So that's our system of equations. Do either one of these equations define x or y? Which one, the first or second one? The second one defines x. It says x is defined as 3y minus 8. So I can take that definition and plug it in wherever I see an x in the first equation. So then I would have 2 times that x definition, 3y minus 8, plus 2y equals 24. Are we okay with that so far? You see what I did? That's why it's called substitution. I substituted that second equation that told me what x is into the first equation, 4x. Now let's distribute. 2 times 3y? 6y. 2 times negative 8? And then I have the plus 2y attached equals 24. Are there any like terms that can be combined?
Yes.
What are they? 6y can be combined with positive 2y to give you? So now I have 8y with minus 16 attached equals 24. This is a 2-step equation that we can solve. How will I solve it?
Plus 16.
Plus 16 to both sides first. So plus 16 on the left, plus 16 on the right. The 8y falls down. These 16s cancel out to 0. 24 plus 16 is 40. Let me make some space and bring it over here. So now I have 8y equals 40. How'd you get the 5? You're right. Divide both sides by 8, and you get y equals 5. Now I'll leave that just a number. We'll assign values to that in just a moment. Now, we have our y value. We need to find our x value. Do they give us an equation that tells us specifically how to find x?
Yes.
Do we have an equation that says x is equal to something? Yes, x is equal to 3 times y minus 8. So x is equal to 3 times whatever our y value is. What is our y value? 3 times 5 minus 8. 3 times 5 is 15, minus 8 is... Anyone know? 7. So we suspect that our answer is 7 comma 5. That's our x, that's our y. And really the x stands for our length, and the y stands for our width. And what are we measuring in? What kind of units? Feet. So essentially, if I asked you what's our length, what would you tell me?
7.
And then our width would be 5 feet. Very good. Now let's make sure our numbers are even right. It's possible we did something wrong and don't even know it. So what you want to do is take the equation that has x and y on the same side. And we'll go ahead and just check with our answers to make sure it works. So it says 2 times x, which is 7, plus 2 times y, which is 5, should equal 24 on the perimeter. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 5 is 10. And 14 plus 10 does equal 24. So it's a true statement. Our numbers do work. That's how you check your answers. All right, so we did 2 examples. Let's see how far along you can get on the third one now. If you weren't here yesterday, I'll give you the 2 equations that we derived. It's about Andrea and Noah doing math homework. Combined, they did a total of 15 questions. But when you compare them to each other, Andrea answered 3 less than twice as many as Noah. They want to know how many questions Andrea and Noah answered respectively. So we know from yesterday that Andrea was variable x, Noah was variable y, and we know that Andrea's plus Noah's questions added up to a total of 15 questions that they solved. And we know that Andrea, compared to Noah, she did twice of whatever Noah did minus 3 less, or taking away 3. So here we have the same exact setup again. They define x for us as 2y minus 3. So plug that in for the x in the above equation, and then solve for y. So take that x equation, 2y minus 3, and plug it in up here for the x. And then rewrite your equation, combine like terms, solve for y. I'll jump in just a few moments to see if you guys can get to the answer before me. After you get your y answer, plug in that y value for the x equation that we have circled there, get your x answer, and even check them if you still have time to make sure that they are legit. I'll go ahead and start jumping in now. So when I substitute 2y minus 3 ends my equation with another y added at the end equaling 15. I combine my like terms. 2y plus y is 3y minus 3 equals 15. You then should have added 3 to both sides. And you get 3y equals 15 plus 3, which is 18. Then divide everything by 3. And you end up with y equals 6. Did anyone get that? Yes or no before I got there? Okay, cool. So you got the y part, so you got the x part. X, it says, is equal to negative 2 times y minus 3. Not negative 2, it's supposed to be just 2y, right? Yeah, not negative 2y. Positive 2y minus 3. So x is equal to 2 times whatever the y value is minus 3. 2 times 6 is 12, minus 3 is 9. Is that what you got for the second point?
Yes.
So then our solution set would be 9 comma 6. That's our x, that's our y. Or in other words, this is Andrea did 9 problems and Noah did 6 problems. Let's see if that works. So we'll check our work now, make sure our numbers are legit. I'm going to take the equation that has the x and the y on both sides. It says x plus y should equal 15, which means 9 plus 6 should equal 15. What does 9 plus 6 equal? 15. So 15 equals 15, which means it is true, and our answers are thus correct. Other than being tedious and many steps, do you guys kind of get the gist of it?
Yes.
It's not too terribly, it's boring, I'll admit that, but it's not terribly difficult. So your assignment's going to be on quizzes. You got some problems to do there. So go ahead and get those done. Will this thing stop and turn off, please? There we go.